Somebody's in a lot of regret right now over a missed opportunity with you with this Five of Cups energy. This feels like somebody that hesitated. The vibe they put off made your guard go up very quickly. It feels like you have been doing a dance along a tightrope with this person for quite some time. They have led you to the point of thinking, believing, feeling that, like, okay, they're committed, they're all in, they're ready to take the next step forward, and then the fears got the better of them. This is somebody that might have been kind of like hot and cold with their communication, inconsistent, and I'm hearing one more chance. So it feels like this person is on thin ice with you. This is somebody where you're kind of like, I got to protect my heart. I got to protect my best interests. I can't keep entertaining uncertain energy. You either need to come correct or don't come at all. That may have been something that you stated very directly to this person in the past, or you may be at that period of time with them right now where they have like one more opportunity with you before you close the door to this, like forever with this person. And it feels like they are aware of that. And so there's a lot of pressure on them to perform, to try and pull a rabbit out of a hat, so to speak, in terms of, coming towards you and approaching you with a degree of confidence and certainty that it feels like they were able to muster within themselves before. But then it's like they dropped the ball when it was most important. This is something where this person is aware that for whatever reason you trigger like a big fear of commitment within them that might not usually be the case with them. Like they might have approached you with open heart. They're the one that tried to get your attention, sort of like, I'm ready for something serious, or they kept pursuing you, and so you went into receptivity mode, and then they've been giving some mixed signals. So it feels like this is no mystery to this person, that there is kind of like a challenge or obstacle in this situation that has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with anything you've said or done or the vibe that you're putting off. This is like a them problem. This is something within them. This can definitely indicate some past life wounding between you and this person, circumstances in previous lifetimes, or it's even coming through as like parallel timelines. So somewhere else in the multiverse, you and this person have kind of like taken those next steps forward, over the threshold of possibility into the experience of like, a real partnership, a stable partnership, a long-term partnership. And then something has happened where you've been kind of like pulled in opposite directions, or the connection has come crashing down, where there's a sense of almost fearing that long-term potential between the two of you would sort of like the rug being ripped out from under them, or that if they open up to you and commit to you fully, then you decide further down the road that they're not what you're looking for after all, and that you would leave them very abruptly with kind of like no explanation, or something very kind of like unfair would happen that would sort of pull you both in opposite directions. So it feels like this is an opportunity for this person, to really kind of like face their shadows at this particular point in time. And they need to kind of do some evolving. It feels like they're aware of that, like they need to evolve emotionally or risk missing out on this opportunity with you, kind of perpetuating that cycle of like, I am so deeply drawn towards you, I'm magnetized towards you, everything feels so right about this situation, but I just can't maintain my stance in your presence, and your patience may be really running thin with this person. Again, that energy of like, you have one more chance is sort of what's coming through with this, or it feels like you've already exercised a lot of patience with them. You've already tried to be understanding. You've already like given this person the benefit of the doubt, even if it was, like nothing happened where they fully like ghosted or you like ran away. But something where it's just kind of like, okay, things are going really great, and then the communication drops off. Something where you've tried not to like jump to conclusions about what that might be about, but now you're at a point where it's like, I don't want to waste my time with somebody that can't commit fully. I don't want to waste my time with someone that doesn't know what they want. I don't want to waste my time with somebody that is just kind of like stringing me along. I know my value, I know my worth, my future is kind of like better served by setting my sights towards, manifesting somebody that is going to be consistent, that is going to, even if they kind of feel fears or there's hesitation, they're going to move through that in the interest of kind of preserving an opportunity or seizing the moment. We also have the Two of Pentacles. So it feels like this person is searching within, like soul searching. They're getting very frustrated with themselves because there's a lot of desire to build with you, to have something stable, to have something meaningful, to have something long term, to have something more with you. And yet every time they take a step closer to you, it's like they teeter back into that energy of like, ooh, I don't know. This feels a little too close for comfort. This feels a little too like good to be true. Something where it's almost like this kind of like back and forth that has been going on between the two of you or within this person. It's almost like each time they sort of pull back or they feed into those hesitations, it's like stepping forward towards you. It amounts to almost kind of like reaching up onto a pedestal. Like they keep putting you higher and higher on this pedestal, which if they're able to pull this rabbit out of the hat and, kind of defeat these fears within themselves, that definitely signals kind of like the right recipe for something that, can be a higher level of experience with one another than you've had with them up to this point or that you've had with other people, because this is somebody that's like, I got to fight to stay like within the intense of your presence. I gotta fight to like keep my position next to you. Not that it's like other people might come in and kind of knock them off their square, but a sense of like they themselves are their own worst enemy. It feels like this person, for a lot of you, they are sort of looking and thinking outside of the box. Like, this doesn't make logical sense. Why am I so drawn to this person? And yet when all the stars have aligned and all I need to do is, keep showing up, all I need to do is kind of just honor those promises. All I need to do is be consistent. Why am I falling back? Why am I standing still? Why am I hesitating? And so for some, it's kind of like, yeah, they're looking at, or is there past life implications here? Is this something that is kind of representative of like a karmic pattern within? Is this somebody that fears that they will just become like a karmic lesson or a karmic partner for you? But there's a lot of motivation to be like a divine partner for you, to be like a true counterpart, to have something healthy. And so this is somebody that knows that they need to kind of like do something within themselves in order to rise to the occasion, to like meet you at that higher level, that it's not serving you, it's not serving them to continue to kind of just pull back and look at you at this as this kind of like prize that the value of increases every time they sort of retreat and are needing to try and come back in. It's almost like it becomes harder and harder to sort of reach that place of really feeling certain within, like, yeah, I'm a good person for you, or this is a situation that can serve our highest good. It's almost something that has been kind of a rude awakening for this person as well. The fact that they've given you no choice but to kind of like put some boundaries up, to show them that, yeah, you're sweet and you're yielding, but you also have a very kind of like firm and cold side to you, that is like in the interest of self-preservation or kind of like protecting your heart. You're not going to put up with nonsense from them or like from anyone. And that message, it feels like, is very clear for them, that they've got like a limited window of opportunity to sort of turn things around or, provide you with more consistency than they have up to this point, or you're just going to move on in another direction. We also have the Ace of Swords. So it feels like this person knows that kind of like the key to this next level between the two of you, and not just being someone who's like written out of your narrative, it's going to require truth. It's going to require some degree of like full disclosure, maybe even opening up about vulnerabilities or talking about like the intensity of like an energetic bond between the two of you. Something that it's almost like they might have skimmed the surface of because they've never experienced like a spiritual connection before. Maybe they've never encountered a soulmate before. They've never really thought about things in terms of like, ooh, this person is triggering wounding within. And rather than just running off in the opposite direction, I keep trying to like push myself beyond that. And that's very confusing. It's almost something where You might be kind of in a place of being able to sort of problem solve this together with one another, but it's going to require them sort of like addressing things that are different from what they normally would address. This is kind of like a rite of passage for this person to sort of like, okay, this is a factor or this is an element within this connection. That doesn't mean that this always needs to be a challenge, but it's presenting itself at this point in time like you're doing everything right and it's me who's kind of lagging in this situation. It's me that's hesitating. It's me that's kind of, reaching for you only to sort of retreat again. This person understands that they've kind of like given you the wrong impression. They don't want you to think that they're just here to like waste your time or they want you to chase them. But nevertheless, it's kind of like that's what they're sort of showing to you, which it feels like, again, there's an understanding of like, you don't want that. You're not going to put up with that. That's not what you're looking for, because it's not generating that response or that reaction within where they pull away and you're like, coming towards them sort of like, oh, what's wrong? What did I do? What did I say? You're not placating them in any sort of manner. And so again, that Ace of Swords energy, it's very clear to this person of like, I need to kind of untangle myself from whatever this is inside that is like wounding from this lifetime, wounding from another lifetime. Like I need to sort of seize the moment and do something different, show up in more of a clear way, or even just express like my fears, the truth of what I'm feeling in this situation as kind of a last ditch effort to like, hey, can you work with me here based on what I have going on in my subconscious, or the ways in which it's almost like their desire for you and the actions they're able to sustain or maintain aren't exactly adding up in some sort of way. That there's a sense that you're not going to take excuses. You're not going to take this person, trying to just sort of like buy time in this situation, but they need to be very clear about something, even if it's a sense of like, yeah, I don't know what this is that's kind of going on within me, but maybe we can figure this out together. Something like that kind of lets that there's more to them than just this kind of like hot and cold sort of energy, because they really sense that you're sort of like you're already setting your sights towards other things, or they're already starting to take like a back seat in terms of the importance in your life. You're already sort of like matching their energy in some sort of way, that if they've been very inconsistent, again, those like walls become very, very high, like when they keep trying to come back in. So they're well aware that you're not just a doormat. You're not just somebody who's gonna sit here and kind of take whatever, or that your world like revolves around this person or what may or may not happen between the two of you. So there's a lot of pressure for this person to act. They feel like time is kind of against them in this situation, like time is of the essence. Yeah, we got the King of Swords. So it feels like this person may be trying to get advice from other people. They're confiding in other people. This isn't just something where they're like sitting and ruminating. They have kind of like tried to get other eyes on the situation, or something where they're kind of just like, what's wrong with me? Like, why is this happening? Why am I doing this? I have so much desire for this person. It feels so right. I have such a good time when I'm in their presence. This is the person that I want. This is the person I have my heart set on. This is the person that I like envision something more happening with. But every time I take a step closer, it's like I get cold feet. I either stand still in place, I turn to stone, or I pull away and I'm giving the wrong impression. And so whoever this is, maybe it's like a friend group or a trusted family member, somebody is kind of like, they're reading this person, kind of like the riot act, sort of like, you need to just put all of that aside. You need to kind of just put your big boy pants on and move forward in this situation. You need to quit overthinking things. You need to quit letting that fear be something that is limiting. And like when you feel that fear, you push through it. You push through that wall. If this is something that you really want, if this is somebody you really want to be with, you need to seize this moment, because it feels like this person or this group of people that they're confiding in, maybe these people know you, or just what they've heard about you, or maybe they've observed in some sort of way. They're like, this person's not waiting. Like, she's not waiting around for you. He's not waiting around for you. Like, they're not waiting around for you. This is somebody that, is high value. This is somebody with a high level of self-love, high self-esteem. And it's almost like, if you were in their position, would you tolerate that? Would that be something that kind of like equates a healthy connection? Is that something that, you would see yourself kind of like sitting around and waiting for? Is that something that you would think, is kind of enticing as far as like, ooh, yeah, I want to be with someone that, has all this desire, but then can't really stand in my presence for very long. Gee, that sounds very like appealing. Somebody that, is giving all these signals and indicators that they want something more. But then every time we get close, they kind of like run in the opposite direction. They run and hide. They tuck into their shell. So whoever it is in this person's court that is kind of like, they're giving them some feedback here. This is somebody that's given like tough love. They're not sort of like, oh, they're there, let me coddle your ego and you're right, maybe this isn't meant to be. It's almost like this person or these people are sort of like, this is a connection that would be good for you, and you'd be a fool to let this slip through your fingers because of some sort of hesitation, something that is either kind of like known, that maybe, sort of like this person might even be comparing it to like a past situation, like I want something more, but I'm so scared this is going to end up like that previous relationship. I'm so scared this is going to end up like that previous marriage. I'm so scared that this is going to end up like, those previous people that I had interest in and things fell apart, where it's almost like people in this person's life are like, just get over that. Like, what are you talking about? Why are you comparing this? This is apples and oranges. You're here in this present moment. This person is taking an interest in you. They're open to you. They're receptive to you. They're putting up with this for as long as they have. So you need to do something, or you have no one but yourself to blame for missing out. So people in this person's life are actually kind of like on your side in this situation. Like, they don't blame you for kind of making it difficult for this person to kind of just come back in, or to play this sort of like hard to get energy, this hot and cold. This is not anything where anybody in their life is like critical of you for that, but they're really looking at this person, and it's kind of like they're trying to push them forward, sort of like, you need to do something about this. You need to do something different. You need to just get over whatever this fear or insecurity is. Trust, the bond that you have created already. Trust this potential. Trust the fact that you can't just let this go. You can't just kind of like walk away or recoil or tuck into your shell, and that's over, and you're setting your sights elsewhere, because this person keeps being drawn back to like, I want you, I like you, I feel very deeply for you, I think we're really good together. But every time I sort of stand in that reality in the light of day, I get terrified and I retreat again. You also have the Page of Pentacles. So again, this is somebody that feels like they don't really know what they could say or do at this point, that would get you to like change your stance with them. They may be looking around and kind of feeling like, what can I do at this point that, will convince this person to kind of like wait for me? Like, they know they can't ask you to wait. They can't ask you to hold on, because you've already been so patient. You've already kind of extended this person like a grace period that a lot of people wouldn't have. You might have tried to like put yourself in their shoes, or sort of like looked into the ideal, like, well, okay, maybe there's some fears coming up, maybe a little something about their past or what they've been through, and so it's like, okay, maybe this is something, that fear of kind of the self-fulfilling prophecy, or history repeating itself, or kind of like, okay, maybe they got some commitment issues from whatever they've been through. Maybe I got some commitment issues from whatever I've been through. So let's walk that line. Let's work with that. But again, this is somebody that senses like their time is running out, with that if they don't do something, this is just going to be like a seed of potential that will fail to thrive, that won't germinate, and then they're going to have to hold on to that energy of regret, like, I don't have anyone to blame but myself for the fact that I'm still just kind of stuck in place in like a previous chapter of this person, of like you, the viewer's story or reality, while you move on. You move on and you become somebody else's blessing. Yeah, we have the Hierophant. So again, this is something where there's like a deeply entrenched pattern within this person. This is somebody that feels like that in different ways throughout their life, and they're starting to notice this, or maybe this is like people in their life are pointing this out as well. This is somebody that is really good at like manifesting opportunities, but then they hesitate. They almost kind of like doubt, like, is this my blessing? Is this really for me? This person may have like a trouble with like imposter syndrome almost. And that could have been something where there could have been, you know, opportunities in career, opportunities for love, opportunities for experiences in life that, you know, the door was open. All they needed to do was take steps forward and kind of just show up as themselves, and they didn't do that. And so they got a lot of regrets that they are sitting with, things that it's like it's too late to turn it around, it's too late to do something different. And so people in their lives are like, don't let this turn out to be like those other circumstances. Don't let this be something where you're harboring that regret, because when the door of opportunity closes, when this person, when you, the viewer, decides you've had enough and you move on, and you meet someone else and that person's doing and saying everything right, and maybe they have the same fears but they're dealing with it in a different way, then you're out of luck. Then there's no way to get back in. And so this is something where, you know, this person is kind of like, okay, I need to fast track my own evolution. I need to get really serious about myself. Like, can I live with that energy of regret, that kind of like, you know, pit in my stomach about sort of like, I don't have anyone to blame but myself for the fact that I'm just having to like watch you live your best life from afar, or kind of just sitting in this energy of like, what if, like, and that never being a question that can be answered. So this person again is, they're like looking at this period of time, this kind of obstacle right here from many different angles. This isn't somebody that's just kind of like, I'm afraid, so that's a red flag, and I'm better off kind of running in the opposite direction. They're very frustrated with that. Like, why has this come up? Why now? Why again? Everything is working out. The stars are aligned. It feels right. And every time I get close, I can only stay close to you for so long. I can only sit in the midst of your embrace for so long. And it feels like they've tried to even sort of look at, maybe we're a mismatch. Maybe this isn't something that would be good for the two of us. Maybe it's not meant to be. And that might have worked for a while in terms of those excuses, but they keep coming back around to something that is just like compelling them forward towards you. And the fact that you've now put up these like walls against them, you're guarded against them. You're like, I don't know, I'm not gonna keep doing this with you. Like, you need to sort of show me something, or move aside. Like, I'm moving forward. I'm better than this. I'm worth more than this. I don't need to put up with this. I don't need the frustration. I don't need the stress. I don't need the uncertainty. I don't need that kind of drama or chaos in my life. That feels to be something that's very heartbreaking for them, because it was never their intention, you know, to create that uncertainty. It's almost like they want you so much, and now you're the one that's kind of like pushing them, like keeping them at arm's length, sort of like, you got one more chance, buddy, to like come in and do something different, or that's it. Like, I'm not even gonna look in your direction ever again. Yeah, we also have the Six of Wands. So again, people in this person's life are encouraging them, you know, to really kind of like give it their all in this next chapter of the experience between the two of you. These other people in their life, it feels like, are letting this person know, sort of like, if you don't kind of do everything you think you can't do in this situation, then, you know, don't come crying to us, because we're not going to sit there and sort of feed that ego and like, yeah, you're right, that person was unfair, and, you know, that wasn't the right match. It's like these people in their life are sort of like, this could be a really good thing for you. It could be a really good thing for the two of you. And you're an absolute fool if you let that pass you by. If you let these fears about the past, or, you know, even kind of like past life energies, you know, instances in other incarnations where it's kind of like there could have been something beautiful and there wasn't. If you let that, kind of the residue of that, the energetic echo of that, thwart this potential, then you're an absolute fool. Obviously, the people in their life will still love and support them in other ways, but it's kind of like, don't think you can sit around and like cry about this. We don't want to hear about it. We're not going to like give you sympathy. We're not going to give you pity, because you kind of did this to yourself. So there's a lot of people that are pushing for this person to kind of get out of their own way, to just shut that inner critic up, or that kind of like imposter syndrome, to just kind of squash that in some sort of way. and show up as themselves, open up about this. This may even be something where people in their lives are like, if you don't think that you can kind of like get this speech out, if you don't think that you can kind of make this move and, your voice isn't going to crack, or, you're not going to get all teary eyed and kind of, it might be a very like messy declaration. Like if that's what you need to do in order to, secure a position here, to really express yourself, to be open and honest and authentic, don't let your ego sort of hold you back, feeling that this needs to be perfect, feeling that you need to be like, okay, I'm so certain about this, so let me just give you my truth, or move forward with this like false bravado or confidence. Like the people in this person's life are like, you need to do something or you're really going to regret that. You're only going to have yourself to blame. And they see, they hear, they have understood that like when this person has surrendered to this pull towards you, when they've been in the midst of this connection before these fears have surfaced, it's like they're in alignment. Like there's an alignment between the two of you. You can be really good with one another. But they also understand that it can't be imbalanced. You can't be the one doing all this kind of heavy lifting while this person just kind of like coddles their own fears, or while they live in that energy of fear. Like that's not fair. That's not a high vibrational connection. That's not a healthy connection. And so again, there's a sense that there's a lot of people kind of praying that this person sort of pulls this off, praying that this person kind of gets it together and gets out of their own way and sort of seizes this opportunity. So there's a lot of kind of like positive intentions that are backing this person to kind of take that leap of faith, to do that very difficult thing, to sort of show up, to be consistent, to quit messing around as far as like these fears are concerned, and just ignore all of that. Just show up, just follow their heart, just kind of sit in the intensity of it and start to look at that as like a blessing. Like, hey, it's an intense connection, so it's definitely not going to be boring. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.